Okay, this one we're going to go over a Hangman game. It's a pretty basic game. It's not very difficult. Uh, I'll walk you guys through it. I've got a different program for screen recording. I'm using a Voco screen this time, so hopefully it works better than OBS Studio, which I was using before, and hopefully it updates the screen while I'm typing code. We'll see. So this one, I'm just going to quickly go over what the program's going to be. And in this guided project, I'd say the main thing that we're adding to what we know already is how to handle text, how to work with text, a few what we would call text methods, different things that you can do with text values that you store. And also drawing. So we're going to be looking a little bit more at graphics. Very basic this time around. We'll keep adding to it, but just very beginning level graphical representations of things. So this is Hangman, where you have a word that you're trying to figure out. Usually you get underscores or spots. You see how many letters there are in the word. Usually there's a hint. I wasn't thinking about that when I planned this out. Maybe we'll add a hint later, but when I go through it this time, I won't have a hint. But normally there's a hint, and you gotta guess letters, and when you guess correctly, it fills that in the puzzle. Like, let's say your word were Mississippi. If I guessed I, the 4 I's would be filled in, and all the rest would be blank until I guessed again. If I guessed Q, I would miss it, and usually there's some way to display the miss. And actually, I was forgetting about that too. We'll need some way to display the miss, I guess. And then when you miss, you get a body part. So I sort of drew what we're going to draw. There won't be the grid that you see here, but we'll have the hangman area, and then when you miss characters, you'll get the head, which is a circle, you'll get the body, which is a stick, and there's 4 more sticks for the limbs. So that means there'll be 6 times you can guess incorrectly before you lose the game. Well, on the 6th one, you'll lose the game. You can change this. You can make it different. You can make it take longer. You can add eyes and a mouth and teeth or hair, whatever you want. But I'm just going to have 6. The game ends when you guess the whole word correctly, when everything's filled in. Also, it can end when you guess incorrectly 6 times or more. Well, I guess 6 times, and then the game will end in failure for the player. Alright, so maybe I'm going to jump to the canvas. So one thing we're going to learn about in this project is the canvas element, which is a part of HTML5. The canvas element has something that we refer to as the context. So a canvas element is kind of like a picture, and but it has with it a sort of bundle of tools for drawing things that we refer to as the context. The context, so what we'll probably draw is a 10 by 11 grid. That's how we're going to imagine it. We're going to make them 20 by 20 boxes, and we'll have 10 boxes horizontally and 11 boxes vertically. And that's going to be our board. So I put it against this grid so that we could easily get the coordinates. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but from the upper left-hand corner moving to the right on the grid, each box is 20 pixels. So if I go to the right, if I'm going to go to the center of the head, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes over. So that's 80 pixels to the right. And then from the top, if I go down 1, 2, 3, I'm at the center of the head. So that must be 60 pixels down. So if I wanted to draw a circle where the head is, I would have to give the context. There's a command for the context called arc, and I got this shown in red, where if I give it the horizontal coordinate, so 80 from the left, 60 then from the top, radius for the circle will be 20 pixels. Then we choose the angles that it sweeps through. So I want a full circle, so I'm going to go from 0 to 2 pi. This is how you enter 2 pi in JavaScript. And this command would calculate the circle needed to draw the head where I want it. So it's not too difficult. The kind of nice tools that you have with this context object, which is part of Canvas. To draw the body, I have an example for you. It's kind of like a pen, so you move the pen where you want it, and then you, if you use move to, it's like moving the pen without pushing the pen down, so you don't draw, you're just positioning the pen. And then there is a line to command, which moves the pen from where it was to the new coordinate, and it will actually calculate as if you're drawing, as if the pen is down, as if you're making a mark. So if I move to 80, 80, I should be at the base of the head. And then if I line to 80, 140, my horizontal position doesn't change, it's still 80. But now I move down 3 boxes, which should be 60 pixels. Should that be 120? Did I do 1, 2, 3? Okay. So that's all right. No, yeah, 140, right? So I think that's correct. But that's how you do it. You sort of move the pen, then draw with the pen to the new coordinate, and that calculates a line to draw the body. We can set properties, which I colored in blue, so we could change the thickness. I believe it's line width. I'll double check that when we actually get into the code. I think line width is the setting. It's something like that. And then stroke style, we can set a color for the mark we want to make for this person, this hangman guy. I've chosen black. But those red commands that I showed up here, like arc and move to and line to, they calculate the mark to make, but they don't actually put it on the canvas. Once you calculate what you want to have marked, you have to give the stroke command, which then actually makes the mark on the screen. So we sort of calculate what we're going to do, and you can use multiple commands to calculate a bunch of things, a bunch of marks you want to make. And then finally, when you're ready, you set your styles and you tell the program to make the stroke, and then it actually draws what you wanted. So that is the grid that we're going to make. And that's how we're going to draw it. Those are the commands we're going to use to draw the hangman guy. So let me explain how the way this will work is that you press a key, it checks it. If you get it wrong, it draws a body part, one body part at a time. And otherwise, you get to guess again, and it fills in part of the puzzle if you get it right. So how does this work? We have to keep track of what the hidden word is, and we have to keep track of what letters you've guessed. And we also have to keep track of how many times you have failed at guessing, or if you guessed an incorrect letter. So here's an example of the code. I don't know if you can see this well. So we start with the hangman program. This is the basic idea. The processes in dashed lines, those require further detail. So I'm going to go into more detail about how to, I thought I had 3 of them, but I guess I have 2 of them. Okay, I think I combined some. So I'll explain those individually when we get to them in code, but sort of abstracting away from that, if you just take a look, the program will start by preparing some variables. We will have a puzzle which gets shown. That's going to be text, and it's going to be all underscores at first, but once you start guessing correctly, it's going to start filling in parts. But at first we have the puzzle text. We also have another text object, which we call guesses, and then we also have another memory variable stored, which is a number, not text, and that's going to be how many times you've guessed incorrectly. I'm calling these fails. So at the start of the program, I'm going to need to initialize these variables, puzzle, guesses, and fails, and I'm going to set the puzzle and guesses to an empty string, which is a text object with no text in it. So it's just open and close quotes. I'm going to do the same with guesses. And as we move, we're going to fill these things with text, with letters, one at a time, as the player makes their guesses. And the number, we're just going to tick it up every time you guess incorrectly. And we're just going to monitor so you don't have too many fails, because that would trigger a loss for the player. The next one, I guess I'm going to get like an input from the player, so I'm going to have a prompt where people can input the word. So if you're playing somebody at your computer, you'll just have to tell them, don't look, I'm going to put in the word, and then you type a word, and then the game should play after that. Alternatively, for this step, you could have a word bank, and you could have a word chosen at random from the word bank. Now, if we follow the arrows, we'll move to the update puzzle and display puzzle. So once I choose a word, I'm going to figure out what the puzzle should be. So let's say my word is, I don't know, we'll say dog. So let's say my word is dog. So now update puzzle will check to make sure it sees I haven't made any guesses, so none of the characters are going to be shown. So it's going to hide all the letters. So I'm going to get underscore, 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 which shows that there's 3 letters in the word, it's a 3-letter word, and that I haven't figured out any of them yet. So when I say update puzzle, it's going to look at the word, see that I've made no guesses, and it's going to create for the puzzle object, the text object here, it's going to put an underscore, underscore, underscore. And then display puzzle will just show that to the player, the current state of the puzzle. So one of them calculates what the text should be for the puzzle, and the other one puts it on the screen. After that, we check to see if the puzzle is completed. Is the puzzle exactly the same as the word that we're targeting, that the player inputted? If it is the same, the game is over. You've won. If it's not the same, we need to get the user to make a guess. So they're going to press a key on the keyboard, and we get that guess. And then we'll check to see, have you guessed that letter already? Do my guesses include the guess I just made, the key I just pressed? If it does include it, if you've already guessed, let's say I tried C, and my word is dog, so there's no C, and I get a fail. If I press C again, it'll be another fail the way I have this designed. So if it's already guessed, even if it's correct, even if I had D and the D in the dog was shown, if I press D again, this will make it a fail. So my fails will increase by 1. That's what fails plus plus means. Increase the number of fails by 1. Draw the body part that goes with 1 failure. So I draw the head, and then I check to see, am I at 6 failures? If I am, the game is over. I've got my whole guy hanging. But if I'm not yet at 6, if I'm still under 6, then the answer would be no. So then I go back to update the puzzle and display the puzzle. Is the puzzle solved? No. Okay. Now I get another guess from the user. So then I press a key again. Let's say I press a key and I haven't guessed it before. So there should be a no here, sorry. So follow that. And I go down. And then we check to see, so if I haven't guessed it before, now I'm going to use this guesses.push, which adds the current guess to the list of guesses. So now I'm going to record that I have now made a new guess. So I'm going to record this guess by adding it to the list of guesses. And then I'm going to check to see if the word itself contains the guess. So the target word. So if I tried H, does dog contain H? No. Okay. Well, I added it to the list of guesses, H. But now I also fail, draw a new body part, see if the game's over. If I do guess a correct letter, like I guess G, then it just updates the puzzle. So I've recorded the guess. Update the puzzle will now reveal the G, and I'll display that, and now I check to see if the puzzle is fully solved. If it's still not solved, then the user gets another guess. Otherwise, the game ends. And that's the program. That's what we're going to code. So I hope that makes some sense to you as a general logic. I guess in the next video, we'll move over to REPL, and we will start building the project.